Alright, so for today's lesson we're going to be talking about the text tool. It's over here down in the corner. It's the little tiny T. Now there are two different ways to use the text tool. I can actually click and drag out a box, and that will give me a bounding box. So whenever I type, my text will actually stay inside that little tiny box. I can always go back and keep typing, and I can actually adjust the size of the box, and there's my text just sitting and waiting for me. And I can work with that in any way I want to. I can move it around using the move tool just like any other kind of file. But I could also use my text tool in a different way. I can just click one time. That gives me a cursor where I can just clearly type like any kind of Word document or Google Doc that you've ever used before. Now we can adjust this text in a certain way because these layers have this little tiny T over top of the corner in the layers menu. That means that the text is editable. So I can click inside and type and move and adjust the text as I see fit. I can actually go through, because these are still editable text, and highlight them, and then I can change the font if I chose. I could also change the scale or the color of my selected text as well. So there's some different fonts for you. Let's make it different here. I can change the overall color up here in the corner. Grab a different color, and there you go, new color. I can also go through and change the overall scale right here. Just a good rule of thumb is that 72 pt, or points, 72 points is equal to a real-life inch. So, for example, if I ever really was in a pinch and I needed to find something that was exactly 1 inch, 72 points is going to be exactly 1 inch in real-life size if I printed it. Now, there's only one catch. If I go to try to select this text here, let's see, I can move this around a little bit. I can pinch it, I can twirl it. Basically, I can use my transform tool, my free transform, and I can move things around. I can actually go kind of crazy with this. I can still add text while it's being manipulated. I can rotate the text, I can squash the text, I can flip the text, and still it is editable as long as there's a little tiny T in my layers menu. But let's say that I want to cut the text in half for whatever reason. Well, if I try, it actually locks me out because this text is not rasterized. Rasterized basically means to convert it to pixels. So if I right click and click Rasterize Text, it will now be editable. I can delete it, I can move it, I can cut and paste. I can basically treat it like any other photograph. And that gives me a lot of really neat ways that I can manipulate this text, unlike just any other normal program. The only downfall is now that it no longer has this little T on it, it's no longer editable, which means that I cannot click and change my text. There's other types of text tools here you can see. There is masking text, which we'll get to later. There's also vertical text, and it works how you see here. I click and it types vertically, so I don't have to click and enter, click and enter. It does it all at one time. So that's a super crash course of how to use the text tool, changing your fonts, changing the size, changing the color, and manipulating it. Awesome. See you later.